For years, I thought my credit was fine. I paid my bills, made money, I built all my different businesses, so I never worried about it. Until one notification changed everything. I woke up one morning to find out my credit had been pretty much destroyed. Some stranger in Texas had been opening up utility accounts using my social, running up bills, leaving them delinquent, and tanking my score right before I was about to buy a primary residence. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't just the fraud that tanked my score. My biggest mistake was not really caring about my credit card utilization. See, I was focused on building wealth, not managing the foundation that it actually sits on. And I made my payments, but I ran up all my cards. And between the fraud and my own bad habits, my credit score had dropped to below 650. And that is when I realized how quickly everything you built can fall apart if you don't actually protect it. And overnight, years of progress were gone. But in just 6 months, I fixed everything, and I hit an 817 credit score at the age of 30. And today I'm gonna tell you exactly how I did that and how you can do it too, and how you can protect yourself before any of that crap happens to you. So if your credit isn't where you want it, or it got hit like mine, here's exactly what to do. Before you take any action, you need to understand what a credit score actually is. So your FICO score is a 3-digit number between 300 and 850 that tells lenders how risky it is to loan you money. It is your financial reputation, and the higher it is, the more trustworthy you look to banks, landlords, and even employers. And here's how it breaks down. 35% of your overall credit score is made up by your payment history. And what that means is basically paying your bills on time. Now, one late payment can drop your score by 100 points. 30% of your score is made up by credit utilization. Essentially, it is how much of your credit limits you're using at any given time. So under 30% is pretty solid, but under 10% is what I would consider to be elite. 15% is length of credit history, so how long your accounts have actually been open. 10% is new credit, so how often you're actually opening new credit accounts. And the final 10% is your credit mix, so the different types of accounts that you have. So if you were to focus on just 2 of the 5 things, payment history and utilization, you're controlling 65% of your credit score. So step 1 for me was to fix the fraud. This was the foundation. Before I could rebuild, I had to clean up the mess. I pulled all 3 reports, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and I froze my credit immediately. Then I filed an identity theft affidavit through the FTC and a police report to document everything. Once the paperwork was in place, every fraudulent account was removed, and that gave my credit its first major boost. With the fraud behind me, I could finally focus on rebuilding my credit. The next step was lowering my utilization. Here's the crazy part. You can raise your score in as little as 30 days just by paying down your balances. But how fast it happens depends on when your credit card company reports to the credit bureaus. Most of them report right after your statement closes, which means that paying before that date can make your score jump almost instantly. So here's what I did. I listed every credit card with its limit, balance, and statement date or closing date, and then I made a plan. I paid before the statement closed so that my balances stayed low when they reported. I requested credit limit increases on my best cards, and I spread out my spending. So once a statement closed, I'd rotate to another card, knowing that I had 30 days before that new balance actually hit. Within 2 months, my utilization dropped below 10% and my score jumped more than 60 points. And once I had that under control, I moved to the most important piece of all, payment history. The thing that I always had in check from day 1 since I turned 18 was payment history. I knew that payment history made up 35% of your credit score, and it was the single most important factor in keeping your credit strong. No matter how tight things got for me, I always made sure to pay something, even if it was just the very minimum. And that consistency is the only reason that my credit ultimately stayed spotless, even when everything else was not perfect. Before the fraud, I had never even pulled my credit reports directly. I didn't know that I could actually freeze my credit or monitor it myself directly through the bureaus. I thought as long as I paid on time, I was being safe. But it means staying proactive. Here's exactly how I make sure that I never miss a due date. So I make sure to turn on auto pay on every single account, and I make sure that at the very minimum, it's the minimum payment due. I also set up notifications from my banks and my credit cards as a backup. And I always use calendar alerts just in case something slips through the cracks. When you automate this stuff, it makes it almost impossible to ever miss a payment. And if you're watching this video and you're like, Austin, I've already missed a payment, then don't beat yourself up. You're human, but after this video, the goal is simple. Don't ever let it happen again. because once you protect that 35% of your credit score, the rest of your score honestly becomes a whole heck of a lot easier to build. If you've had any late payments, you just have to address them immediately, because a late payment can stay on your report for up to 7 years. Now, its impact will ultimately fade over time, and a long streak of on-time payments will help you recover a bit quicker, but it will still be there for 7 years. If you're watching the video and you're like, Austin, I'm about to maybe miss a payment for whatever reason you're struggling, then what I want you to do is to give your lender a call, give the bank a call, the credit card company a call before you actually miss the date. Most creditors would rather work out some type of plan or agreement with you, like a short-term hardship arrangement, than, report you late or send you to collections or whatever the case may be. So the goal for you is just to get it squared away. Once you have the basics locked in, you can go ahead and shift your focus to the long game. And that is building positive data and increasing the average age of your credit. If you're just starting out or rebuilding, there really are a few ways to do this. Open a secured credit card or credit builder loan that reports your payments each month. Or you can become an authorized user on a trusted person's card with years of clean payment history. Both will help you build a consistent record that lenders trust. Now, when it comes to your older accounts, keep your oldest cards open whenever humanly possible. The longer that they stay active, the stronger that your credit history will look. With that being said, there are a few potentially valid reasons to close an account. Number one might be high annual fees. If you're not using the card, the cost may not be worth it. But before canceling, ask if they'll offer some sort of retention bonus or a downgrade if you switch to a no-fee version. The other reason might be your temptation to overspend. If keeping a certain card open makes it harder for you to manage your spending, then closing it can actually protect your credit health overall. If you're keeping old cards open, just do it the smart way. Make small periodic purchases, put a small subscription like Netflix or Spotify on the card so it reports activity, but you're not spending a bunch of money on that card. And of course, make sure you set up autopay. Have that balance paid off automatically each month so it stays active and never accrues interest. That combination will keep your account in good standing, it extends your credit age, and quietly boosts your score over time. And once those foundations are set, there's one last thing for you to stay on top of, and that is accuracy. So in my situation, once my credit was back on track, I made monitoring it a regular habit, because you would be shocked with how often reports contain mistakes. According to a 2012 Federal Trade Commission study, 1 in 4 consumers had at least one error on their credit report, and 5% had mistakes serious enough to lower their credit score. And that is why I now review all 3 reports, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and I literally go line by line. The things to check for are accounts that you don't recognize, incorrect balances or maybe incorrect credit limits, late payments that were actually on-time payments, or outdated personal information. If something's wrong, you want to dispute it immediately, both with the credit bureau and the company that reported it. And you always want to attach proof, payment receipts, statements, screenshots, literally everything that you can attach to prove your case, you want to. After that, your goal is simple. You just have to maintain. Keep your utilization low, pay every bill on time, and review your reports at least once a quarter, but I like to do it every month. And here's the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, by the time I applied for that mortgage I was telling you about 180 days later, my score was an 817. I was 30 years old. I didn't use a credit repair company. I didn't take any shortcuts. I just documented it. I had discipline. I was very consistent. And that score got me the best possible rate. It got me peace of mind. And my financial reputation is now officially back in my control. Your credit score isn't just a number. It's leverage in the game of life. And if you understand the system, you can rebuild it faster than you think. At the end of the day, rebuilding my credit taught me something. And I wish I would have learned it a little bit sooner. Good credit isn't built one time. It's built every single month. It's not about perfection, but it is about consistency. I didn't fully understand that until I had to dig myself out of a mess. So there you have it, guys. I never thought in a million years that I would be the guy making the video saying that at one point, not that long ago, my credit score was in the mid-6s. But at the end of the day, everybody makes mistakes. And my biggest mistake was keeping that utilization really, really high when I shouldn't have. And then also not checking my credit periodically. And then logging in randomly to find out that people have been opening accounts in my name. So the whole point is that nobody's perfect, but at the end of the day, I hope that you go get yourself a phenomenal credit score because it is truly a life hack. No matter what it is that you're trying to do, you will need good credit. So I appreciate you for watching the video. If you got any value, do me a huge favor, like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you have not already, and go check out some of my other videos right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.